Because you see, there's a systematic effort in this country to downgrade understanding history and where we are and how we got there. And I'm going to tell you this evening that the worst form of racism in this country is that kind of racism that tries to tell black people to put your history behind you. To tell black folk, you know, that it's unimportant. We need to move beyond blame. Let's forget about being the victim. They never tell that to anyone else. And you can never compete, you can never get out of your dilemma as long as you're ignorant of how you got into it. Okay? And I've got people telling me, so Dr. Anderson, what we need to do now is be teaching black folk how to just get beyond racism and become competitive with white folk. I say, how? I said, when you never tell Jews to put what happened to them behind them. You never tell the Southern white to put the Civil War behind him. You never tell anybody in this country to put their heritage, their race behind them, except black folk. And once you buy into that, if you buy into that garbage, you're lost. There's only three ways you could have gotten into your dilemma as a black people. Either you got here by godly divine decree, or you got here because you're genetically inferior, or you got here because white people have been socially engineering. One of those three, either elaboration, sophistication, or a combination of those three things. If you put your history behind you, then they got you trapped. Because there are only two left. You're here now because God wished it, or because you're genetically inferior. And that's why they keep putting out these books on the market saying blacks are genetically inferior. Because they keep telling you to put it behind you. If you put it behind you, you cannot figure out how you got into it. But even more importantly than that, we got to understand history, and that's what I tried to put in our book. We got to understand history so that not only can you just give rhetoric and emotional sentiments about what happened to us, but you can analyze in very specific terms what they did. And then you can go back and say, now, if they did that, what must we do based on what they're doing now to countervail it and to counter-move it? And that's what the Harvest Institute is about. And that's what my book is about. I want to give you a book so that you can just read one book. And if you read it thoroughly, you can understand almost anything you want to know about how we got into our dilemma and what we must do to get out of it. And you see, right now, we're in a world of trouble. A world of trouble. And it's not only in this country, internationally speaking, black people in trouble all over this earth. Because you see, black people all over this earth are now obsolete and unnecessary. They're pain in the posterior. And they're getting ready to put the moves on us. They're going to put the moves on us because from this point forward, forget about all the symptoms. The issue from this point forward is who owns and controls the resources. That's the bottom line. Forget about anybody telling you about all the symptoms. You can forget about food stamps, welfare, Medicare, Medicaid. You can forget about crime, child abuse, abortion. All of those are symptoms. The issue from this point on forward on earth is who owns and controls the resources. And contrary to anybody tells you right now, all of this nation, all the countries are progressing and uniting to get ready to fight those battles, except our people. The only nations that are going backwards on earth are the African nations, and those are run by black people. And contrary to what anybody tells you, the African nations do not own or control enough resources to be competitive and defend themselves. They set them free starting in the mid-1960s, but the whites had learned by then that they could control those countries just as well outside as they could inside by controlling the resources. And we got a lot of Africans come to this country that won't even level with my people in this country to tell them that. They keep giving them the shuck and jive game that somehow they got something special in Africa that we don't have over here as Americans. And we're going to have to put accountability on those African nations, just like we're going to start putting accountability on the blacks in this country too. See, all of them